Welcome to part 2 of Let's Play Rebel Planet by Robin Waterfield. At the end of the last part, I was on paragraph 299. Let's reread this as a reminder. Once you are out of the spaceport, you have no problems finding a hover taxi. You climb in and instruct the microcomputer to take you south into town. You notice that a camera has been fixed in the taxi. There has been no attempt to disguise it. Presumably it transmits everything it sees to the Arcadian police headquarters, and presumably there is a listening device as well. It is a good thing that they cannot read minds, because your thoughts are racing. You know 3 things about the underground leader on Tropos. The codename Bellatrix, that he or she can be located through a club called the Fission Chips, which is in the city for which you are heading, and that Bellatrix rules the rebels strictly, with a code of honor that all must obey. There's quite a lot to be going on. It's more than you know about the rebels on other planets, and should make your task on Tropos relatively easy if you act sensibly. The other thing occupying your mind is that most of the Arcadians on Tropos seem to be members of the warlike northern species. The presence of so many of these natural fighters could make your mission on Tropos more hazardous. Why have so many of them been posted here? Are they closing in on the rebels? Do the Arcadians know that the Fission Chips is more than it seems? There are many unanswered questions, but you turn your mind to the task at hand. There are still 6 hours to go before curfew. Will you instruct the taxi to take you straight to the Fission Chips, turn to 176, or to the hostel at which off-planet humans have to stay, turn to 196? Okay, we're going to go to the hostel and turn to 196. Here we are. The hostel is a semi-derelict, flea-ridden building, and tropian fleas have to be seen to be believed. 2 northern Arcadian guards stand by the door, and inside a scruffy southerner is sitting in a chair, leaning back against the wall, apparently asleep. What an odd setup. No robot receptionist or computerized check-in, and outside everything is just as old-fashioned. There are no personal or public overhead monorail systems. The buildings are mostly late 21st century and low-lying, and the pollution, to think they haven't yet gotten around to dealing with it. A sign on the wall says, "Remember, no vehicles in town. Offenders will be prosecuted." A typically primitive solution to a primitive problem. Will you wait for the receptionist to notice you, turn to 29, or draw his attention to your presence, turn to 188? Excuse me. Okay, we're going to wait for the receptionist to notice us. Excuse me. And we're going to turn to 29. After waiting for a while, you decide this is a waste of time. You can always check in later. You go upstairs. The whole of the first floor is a long dormitory, which is remarkable for its filth, gloom, and lack of company. Several beds are made up, but their occupants are out at this time of day. There is one other human, however, who is sitting sadly on a truckle bed, his body heaving with sobs. Will you go and grab a bed near him and strike up conversation, turn to 354, or will you settle yourself far away, or will you settle yourself far away, turn to 60? Okay, we are going to settle ourselves far away and turn to 60. 60, here we come. It is always difficult, particularly for an active type like you, to cope with another person's unhappiness. You make up your bed so that no one else takes it and creep out of the room. Lose 1 luck point for being hard-hearted. Okay, let's do that. So we're down to 11 luck. Outside on the street, you must look for the Fission Chips. You know that north heads out of town, so you turn south. Turn to 99. As you walk along, you notice that the city is laid out very regularly on a square grid pattern. The hostel is at the north end of North 23 East 5 Street, and the next block south starts at the top of North 22 East 5 Street. The buildings are all very alike except for the Temple of the Five Suns, which towers above the rest of the city and is a famous landmark. It is the center of the imperial religion on Tropos, the five suns being the suns of the planets of the Empire. After wandering along the main roads for quite a way, heading generally south and east, you realize that this is getting you nowhere fast. There is hardly likely to be a signpost saying "Fish and Chips, third block on the left, rebels and spies welcome." You are also getting tired and hungry. Reduce your stamina by 2 points. Let's be down to 20. You decide you had better ask the way in a shop, but there are only 2 small shops around. The rest are automated hypermarkets. Will you ask at the grocer's, turn to 152, or the hardware shop, turn to 382? Okay, we're going to ask at the grocer's and turn to 152. Okay. As you enter the shop, your hunger really gets the better of you, and to the astonishment of the human grocer, you purchase 20 credits worth of fruit and nuts and gobble them down on the spot. Okay, so that's 20 credits gone. So that's down to 1,980. Oakley dokley. Right. Must be some new terrestrial fad, you hear the grocer mutter to himself, but he is pleased to see a human spending money on such luxuries. Bread and a porridge made from tropian beans, is staple diet for humans. Ah, that's better. That's better, you declare. Restore 4 stamina points. Okay, that puts me back up to 22. Will you now ask him the way to the fish and chips, turn to 335, or to the Adolfo Videorama, turn to 260? Okay, I assume that's the grocer. There we go. Anyway, we're going to ask him the way to the Adolfo Videorama. So turn to 260. So we'll have a quick look at this picture. There we go, very nice. 260. Why on Tropos do you want to get to that old place? Asks the man suspiciously. Been derelict for years. If you want a good time, some entertainment, I can tell you where to go. You thank him, but tell him that you have arranged to meet a friend outside the Adolfo. He tells you that the Adolfo is not far away, on North 20 East 7th Street. And where are we now, you ask? Halfway up North 18 East 9th Street, comes the reply. There is no time to lose. You must get on with your mission. Will you go north for 1.5 blocks, then west for 2 blocks, turn to 204, or north for 2.5 blocks, then west for 2 blocks, turn to 109? Okay, we're going to go north for 1.5 blocks, then west for 2 blocks, and turn to 204. So 204, here we come. The Fish and Chips is in the basement of the former Adolfo Videorama. A neon sign with many bulbs missing still advertises the last feature, a classic science fiction comedy from the 20th century called Star Trek. I actually think Star Trek Deep Space Nine is more of a comedy because it's so awful. You go down the... I mean, just that last episode where it was all sort of emotional, where it looked back on the characters. I mean, just a terrible way at tugging at your heartstrings. Well, at least it was an attempt at tugging at heartstrings. It didn't work on me. It was just rubbish. Anyway. And indeed laughable, hence the comment I made. Anyway, you go down the steps which lead to the entrance to the club and knock on the door. A human face appears at a peephole. What do you want? It says aggressively. To get in the club, of course, you reply. Who recommended us to you, stranger? Asks the doorman, emphasizing the last word. What will you reply? I shall say that again. Who recommended us to you, stranger? Asks the doorman, emphasizing the last word. What will you reply? Okay. Saros, turn to 287. Bellatrix, turn to 240. The Grand Vizier of Tropos, turn to 45. Or no one, I'm from Earth, turn to 326. Okay, we're going to reply no one, I'm from Earth, so turn to 326. Now the doorman looks at you carefully, then shuts the peephole. After a moment, you hear bolts being shot on the other side of the door, and you are let in. Membership of the club costs 250 credits. While the doorman is making out your membership card, you survey the scene. Okay, I better just say I've paid for membership, so I'll just say I have membership card of the fission chips. I really could do with some fish and chips right now. I really wish they stopped saying that. Okay, 250, that puts us down to 1,730. Because that's the subtraction. Okay, let's carry on. The clientele is mixed human and Arcadian, but there are only a few Arcadians, and they are mostly Southerners. The Arcadian section is very comfortable, with padded seats, real wooden tables, and waiter service, rather. The human section is cheaply equipped with stained and scarred formoplus furniture. I don't know what that word is, sorry. The air is thick with the smell of alcohol and the smoke of glasium, a mild legal drug. One or two of the Arcadians, however, are showing how they are superior to the law by openly smoking tobacco. The doorman interrupts your observation by handing you the membership card and saying, Just one more thing, sir, a security precaution. I'm sure you'll understand. Our Arcadian clients insist on it. He buzzes a metal detector swiftly over your body, which tells him nothing, of course, and there is nothing too suspicious in your pack. Then he begins to frisk you. If you no longer have your sword, this does not alarm you. Turn to 64. If you do still have your sword, will you say that you have changed your mind and leave the club? Turn to 390. Or will you submit to the search? Turn to 358. Okay, so we still have our sword, obviously, because we haven't lost it. Let's just confirm that. Yeah, we still have the laser sword, and we therefore submit to the search. So turn to 358. He is very thorough, and soon finds your sword. He does not remove it, however, but talks in a low voice, as if to himself, while pretending to frisk you further. Interesting, very interesting. A sword treated to avoid metal detection. No Arcadian spy would need such precautions. I think you've probably come to the right place. Wait by the bar for a few minutes and then make your way to the Visiphone booth. Turn to 37. To keep up appearances, you buy a drink of the alcoholic mouthwash they sell humans. Deduct 10 credits from your adventure sheet. Okay, so we're now down to 1720. You notice the doorman going over to a group in the corner and whispering something to a young woman who flashes a glance at you and then gets up to leave. Does this strike you as suspicious, so that you follow her, turn to 75, or will you remain where you are for a bit and then ask the barman where the Visiphone booth is, turn to 81? Okay, we're going to ask the barman where the Visiphone booth is, turn to 81. Or rather, and turn to 81. Here we go. The Visiphone booth is behind a screen, which is decorated with a moving hologram of Arcadians at work in an office. You always find it reassuring when aliens behave just like humans. Even Arcadians want to ring home sometimes and claim they're working late at the office. Did you try to catch a taxi here from the spaceport? If so, turn to 362. If not, turn to 311. Okay, we did not try to catch a taxi here, so we're going to turn to 311. The door of the booth hisses shut behind you. Now what, you wonder? Maybe you could ring up an old school friend who settled on Tropos. Maybe this is a trap. Maybe... What was that click? A hatch has opened up in the ceiling. Oh no, gas! A thick cloud soon envelops you. As you collapse, you hear yourself coughing. but it seems to come from far away. Then the floor beneath you drops away, and you tumble down a chute, but never feel yourself reach the bottom. Turn to 207. Okay. Is that me? Yeah, I think that's that picture corresponds to this paragraph because there's gas in a booth and stuff. Yeah, that's quite good, isn't it? Okay, there's the picture then. Lovely. Anyway, we're turning to 207. Off we go. Oh, here we are. You slowly climb back to consciousness. The first thing you are aware of is a splitting headache. Deduct 2 stamina points. 3 if you have not eaten today. I have eaten. I had those nuts and fruits or whatever. So 2 stamina points takes you back to 20. The second thing is that even when you open your eyes, it's still pitch black. Once you have realized that you are not blind, but that wherever you are is in darkness, you clamber to your feet. Immediately, a bright light stabs your eyeballs. You instinctively cover your face with your arm. Behind the light, you can just make out 3 human shapes, 2 standing on either side of the third, who is seated at the table. A woman, who is apparently the one seated, addresses you. You seem to know something of our business. That could mean one of 2 things. Either you are an Arcadian spy, or you are one of us from Earth. If the latter is the case, I apologize for the rough treatment you have received from us, but you will understand why this was necessary. Now, explain yourself. I'm looking for Bellatrix, you begin. So you know my code name, she says. That in itself doesn't prove a thing. We may have been infiltrated. This is a tricky situation. They are not convinced that you are from Saros, but are you entirely sure that they are rebels? Will you try to convince them that you are who you say you are, turn to 168, or ask for proof of their identity, turn to 105? Okay, we're going to try to convince them that we are who we say we are. So we're going to turn to 168. Here we are. Okay. You take the plunge. Surely they must be the underground. You tell them everything about your mission, and even drop the names of 1 or 2 people back on Earth of whom they might know, to make your story more plausible. Once you have finished, the 3 humans huddle together. This is a good sign. If they were traitors, they would have finished with you by now. At last they separate. Bellatrix speaks again. Very good. You seem to know more about this mission than any Arcadian spy would know. There is just one last thing we want you to do. The barman at the fish and chips is a double agent. Return there and kill him. Do you agree? Turn to 68 or not? Turn to 274. We do not agree. So we're going to turn to 274. Here we are. Why are you hesitating? Asks Bellatrix. Will you say that you know he's not a double agent? Turn to 307. Or that you need more proof? Turn to 343. We're going to say we need more proof and turn to 343. Ah, a sense of justice. That tips the balance in his favour, don't you think? Bellatrix asks, don't you think? Bellatrix asks the other 2. They agree. Besides, as one of the men points out, you know so little about your inquisitors that even if you were a spy, the information you could pass on would cause only a temporary halt to the rebel operation. All right, says Bellatrix, I'll tell you what I know. It's not much after all your efforts, I'm afraid. Rumour has it that the Northern Arcadians made up a marching song to help them remember a sequence of 3 of the digits. I don't know what they are, however, or where this sequence comes in the whole series of digits, but here's the song for what it's worth. Oh, mortal combat is such joy, no messing about, no subtle ploy. Empire of Arcadian, onward, ever onward. Open pitched battles make me high, never mind the odds, let's do or die. Evermore Arcadian, Empire of Arcadian. Okay. Okay, so okay. That's all you can get from Bellatrix, so the information from the other 2 planets is absolutely crucial. Okay. Oh, I see. Right. Yeah, that reminds me. I was just reading my notes there, and yeah, I was just reminded that the digits. This is like an what do they call it, an acrostic. I think it's called acrostic. Yeah, acrostic poem. So it's like if you read down the first letters, it's 101. So the first three numbers or the first three digits are 101, 101, or 101. So I'll just say first three digits are 101. IQ, what is it? IQ 201. That was from an episode of Red Dwarf. Anyway, sorry, I don't know why I remember that. I have a weird mind, as you know. Anyway, that's all you can get from Bellatrix, so the information from the other two planets is absolutely crucial. All your equipment is returned to you. You are pleased by their generosity and trust in replacing your sword. If you had lost it, restore 2 luck points for the information and equipment. They also have a vial of Quandar root lotion, which will heal 4 stamina points of wounds, but you have to buy the vial from them for 50 credits and use it immediately. Do so if you want. Turn to 25. Okay, we're not going to buy the other lotion. Anyway, so we're going to turn to 25. Off we go. You are escorted through a maze of underground tunnels back to the hostel, where the guard has been trebled since you were last there. You sleep deeply, restore 2 stamina points. Okay, puts you up to 22 again. It's a bit of a oscillating series there, isn't it? Or sequence, rather. The next morning, you return to the spaceport, turn to 213. When you arrive at the spaceport, you find that there are a great many Arcadian guards mingling with the crowds. If you let an Arcadian escape in Gruss's Street, turn to 200. If not, turn to 318. Okay, we never even went there, so yeah, so if not, turn to 318. So no. 318, here we come. The patrolling Arcadians scarcely give you a second glance. Before you reach customs, the next checkpoint, do you want to get rid of any of your equipment? If so, you find a safe spot in the humans' washroom to do so. Whether or not you dumped any equipment, turn to 33. Okay, we have no equipment to dump, so we're going to turn to 33. 33, there we go. At customs, you tell the Southern Arcadian duty officer that you are a merchant bound for Radix, and she crosses your name off the register of off-planet humans on Tropos. Then she orders you to hand over your pack. You do so, and are dismayed to find that the pack will be looked through not by this Southern Arcadian, who is likely to be more easy-going, but by a hatchet-faced Central Arcadian, whose multicoloured crest shows that he belongs to a high military rank. Most of your equipment is harmless enough to pass the inspection, but do you still have either or both of a coil of rope and an infrared scanner? If you have both, turn to 210. If you have one of these items, turn to 239. If you have neither, turn to 374. Okay, we have neither of them because the only equipment that we have is laser sword, anti-grav pack, and membership card of the fission chips. Okay, so we have neither, so we're turning to 374. Here we go. I think, yes, there we go. Okay, without further ado, you board your spaceship, which is loaded up and ready to go. You instruct the computer to switch to its pre-programmed route from Tropos to Radix. There are no problems on blastoff, and you relax for the first time for hours as Tropos dwindles on your rearview screen. But what lies ahead of you on Radix? Both advantages and disadvantages as far as you can see. On the one hand, Tropos is such a backward planet, both culturally and technologically, that you are likely to feel more at home on Radix. On the other hand, you don't know even the code name of the underground leader on Radix, and it is now more crucial than ever that you learn what he or she has to tell you. Moreover, I'll start again. Moreover, you know that Southerners are the most dominant Arcadian species on Radix, attracted there by the corruption and freedom. This, too, has its good and its bad points. Southern Arcadians can be more tolerant than the others, but they are more difficult to communicate with. During your journey to Radix, you may restore half as many stamina points as your current stamina score, rounding odd numbers down and remembering that you cannot exceed your initial score. Turn to 47. I'm at maximum stamina, so there's no point. Turn to 47. 47, here we come. Customs is no problem on Radix. They are so delighted to have the Ziridium that you are welcomed by the resident Arcadians as much as any Arcadian is capable of welcoming any human. It seems that your load of Ziridium was needed to complete a para-scientific project of theirs. You find that you have 2 full days. It is now early morning until you must leave for Halmuris. Once you have registered, you make your way out of the spaceport, which is so highly mechanized that even a terrestrial like you feels strange. The inhabitants do not believe in doing any work unless they really have to. There are robots everywhere, some of them sophisticated, state-of-the-art models that can almost think for themselves. Moving pavements crisscross the spaceport, which actually makes you impatient because they move slowly enough to allow stepping from one to another, yet you feel decidedly springy on this planet, as the gravity is slightly less than on Earth. You soon discover, however, that this does not in fact help you to move any more quickly, since you need some practice to achieve the correct coordination. The personal monorail system is all you could have hoped for, and you are soon gliding smoothly, but at speed, towards the only major town on the planet where the underground must be located. On the way, you call up on the screen a list of hotels where humans can stay. Only 2 names sound attractive, one which has gained 3 stars from the Radician quality assessors, and one which they haven't bothered to comment on at all. Will you stay at the Zodiac for 375 credits a night, turn to 89, or at Porky's Palace for 50 credits a night, turn to 101? Okay, we are going to stay at Porky's Palace for 50 credits a night and turn to 101. On the way to the hotel, you notice something odd about the city. In some streets, whole houses have been demolished, even though the surrounding houses are still standing. It is as if a localized earthquake had struck. You soon arrive at the hotel. Porky, who is sitting on the steps outside, has certainly earned his nickname. He is very fat. You check into your room for 1 night, deduct 50 credits. Okay. Takes me down to 1670. Shower, change and eat a snack. Restore 2 stamina points, which I don't need. Now you feel ready to tackle the problems facing you. You decide to start by questioning Porky. Will you ask him about Radix in general, turn to 77, or ask him to explain the phenomenon of the demolished houses, turn to 306? We're going to ask him about Radix in general. Turn to 77. Is that Radix? Is that Porky rather? Just wondering, was I supposed to get another luck point back? Yeah, I've got 2 luck points or something, didn't I? Yeah, I was supposed to get 2 luck points back from when I didn't get that lotion. Sorry, I didn't put them up. Sorry about that. Yeah, because I'm looking at my notes. It says that I get 2 luck points after I get the number, the code thing, 101. It gives me 2 luck points, but I don't buy the lotion for 50 credits. Yeah, I forgot to put the luck up. Sorry about that. Anyway, Porky is out on the steps, sunning himself and admiring his jewels. Yeah, that is Porky. Let's have a look at him. He's not that fat. I mean, I've seen a lot fatter. Maybe that's sort of fat for sort of 80s standards. But, you know, that's sort of slightly plump by today's standards. I mean, today's fat is yesterday, or that times obese. And that times obese is morbidly obese now. And that times morbidly obese is pretty much dead now. Anyway, Porky is out on the steps, sunning himself and admiring his jewels. He is adorned with rings, bracelets, and a pair of earrings. You sit down and chat with him, exchanging views about conditions on Earth and on Radix. He tells you that in some ways life on Radix has not been altered by the Empire because the economy has been fixed so that humans can live in the style to which they were accustomed. Nevertheless, of course, there is some resentment at the lack of freedom, which is supported fairly openly by the students and staff of the university. They are not very successful, however, since they are concerned with abstract freedom, while the ordinary people of Radix just want an end to having to work for the Arcadians and a return to the system where robots did all the work for humans. As it is, both humans and robots serve Arcadians for the most part. While you talk to Porky, you find yourself changing your opinion of the Radician humans. The corruption and sloth for which they are famed throughout the galaxy is just a weird sign of their devotion to an ideal of self-sufficiency. You realize that human nature does indeed adapt itself to circumstances on different planets, and that therefore humans born and bred on other planets can be almost as alien as Arcadians or other species. The discipline of Tropos and the devotion of Radix are the result of living on those planets. Your conversation with Porky has been most worthwhile and should enable you not to misjudge people you come across on this planet. Gain 1 luck point, which I don't need. You decide that your best bet is to visit the university next, so you take your leave. The monorail takes you near the main entrance. Will you plunge straight in, turn to 146, or wait around outside for a while, turn to 178? Okay, we are going to plunge straight in and turn to 146. The university, which is only for humans, is a small affair these days, occupying a single large building on the outskirts of the city. Arcadian guards are everywhere, since they have to make their presence felt in this hotbed of possible rebellion. Would you go to the science floor, turn to 266, or to the arts floor, turn to 258? Okay, we are going to go to the science floor and turn to 266. You join a group of students who are hanging around a drink dispensing machine on the science floor and are having a heated scientific discussion. Will you chip into the conversation, turn to 218, or keep quiet, turn to 11? We're going to keep quiet and turn to 11. The argument soon breaks up. Someone tells a joke and they all roar with laughter. The best of friends once more. Their camaraderie makes you feel lonely, being so far from home and burdened with a mission about which you can talk to no one. One of the students notices that you are a bit down in the mouth and comes over to the bench where you have gone to be miserable on your own. She introduces herself as Mahita and asks what's up. You are unprepared for friendliness. Even heroes like you, there's lots of redundant reflexes in this, which I don't like. Even heroes like you get moody and find yourself wanting to confide in her. Will you do this, turn to 97, or not, turn to 202? We will confide in her, turn to 97. You tell her that you have heard the university encourages revolutionary ideas and that you need to get in touch with someone who knows about this. Is that all? She laughs. Listen, there are very, very few students who would spy for the Arcadians. Even those who aren't actively involved in demonstrations or anything aren't unsympathetic. We're students, that's what it's all about. Is it really? I thought students was all about, I don't know, studying, but what do I know? The only students for which you have to watch out are members of the Black Eye group. I think you should go and have a chat with old Professor Zacharias in the arts faculty upstairs. Tell him Mahita sent you. Take a note of his room number, 239, otherwise the floor's like a maze and you'll never find him. Mahita's cheerfulness lifts your spirits, and you may add 1 luck point, which I don't need. But will you go upstairs as she suggests, turn to 258, or will you decide it is safer to leave the university, and turn to 235? Okay, we're going to go upstairs as she suggests and turn to 258. Damn, we're making great progress in this video, aren't we? 258. Do you have an introduction to anyone here? If so, turn to the paragraph which has the same number as the room you need. Otherwise, turn to 76. Okay, so obviously 239. I better just write that down, actually. Zacharias, I'll say. Zacharias is in room 239. So we're doing that. Room 239, here we come. You knock on the door of Professor Zacharias' office. Come in, he calls. When you enter, you find him just getting ready to leave for a lecture. I'm in a hurry, he says. What do you want? You tell him that Mahita suggested you visit him. He looks at you intently for a moment. I'll just write that down, actually. Mahita sends us to Professor. There we go. Go to a new line. Okay, there we go. Just for completeness. Okay, you tell him that Mahita suggested you visit him. He looks at you intently for a moment. Did she? Did she indeed? He muses. I have great faith in Mahita's feelings about people. Look, there's no time now. Come and see me after my lecture in 1 hour. Will you pass the time by attending his lecture, turn to 170, or have a cup of coffee in the Students' Union, turn to 182? Okay, and that is the end of this video. So, I am currently on paragraph 239. So let's put that down. And in the next video, I will decide whether I'm going to attend his lecture or have a cup of coffee. It's as exciting as that. You know, this is edge of your this is edge of your seat stuff here. This is a cliffhanger. Am I going to attend a lecture or am I going to have a cup of coffee in the Students' Union? Who knows? So find out next time. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.